Hello everyone. It's been a few weeks now since I did my Q&A and I had such a lovely response from you all, so thank you so much for the comments on that video. And I think I said in that video, would you like a part 2? Because it's been so many years since I've done a sit down, chatty, kind of honest Q&A, and there were so many questions and lots of the comments in that video were saying, please do a part 2, please do a part 2. So here I am, doing the part 2, and I've screenshotted the questions on my phone. Some of these are from the previous question box, some of them are from a Q&A box that I put up on my Instagram stories just this morning saying I'm doing another one, get your questions in now. And again, I'm on the rickety chair that could collapse at any moment, but it's the only kind of stool that I have to kind of move around the house, so if you're hearing squeaking, it's me sat on this stool. I need to get a different stool. Okay, first question, what do you eat for dinner? I love this question because this is something that I ask my friends all the time, because I've been making the same things for dinner for at least since lockdown, when I kind of got into cooking at home more. And then obviously now having a baby, I'm pretty much in every single night, unless I have a work event or something, or the occasional dinner with friends. And I'm the one who cooks in this house. Dan's speciality is pasta, which he does about once a week, but I definitely take on the role as the cook in the house. And it's not because I'm particularly good, it's just because I can finish work earlier and I just kind of do that thing. I also really enjoy it. I think that's why I also make the same things a lot of the time, because for me, I'm not a very professional chef in the kitchen, but I do find that time at the end of the day when I've just put Sage down to bed, although now he is actually sometimes awake when I'm cooking dinner, kind of helping me in the kitchen, and he'll just kind of stand in his stand and I'll give him some jobs. His favourite job is putting things in the bin. So if I've got kind of like an end of a vegetable or something and I'm like, this needs to go in the bin, he's like, yeah, and runs over and puts it in the bin. I think he just likes to feel useful, which is really cute. But I do love that zen time where he's gone to bed and then I'm just in the kitchen on my own. I can put a podcast on or some music, and I just love, you know, especially if I have a glass of red wine, just making dinner for the two of us, and just kind of that separation between work and winding down for an evening, chilling on the sofa, either reading or watching TV shows. I'm going to run you through my things that I make a lot. So veggie risotto. I just make that with vegetable stock, risotto rice, parmesan cheese, courgettes, broccoli, leeks. That's kind of it. My preference would be to have mushrooms in there. I love a mushroom risotto, but Dan does not like mushrooms, so we're kind of a non-mushroom household, because I did go through a phase actually of making lunches. I was getting sourdough bread, really nice sourdough bread, and toasting it and then putting on some kind of like blue cheese, like a really strong creamy blue cheese. This is making my mouth water. And then frying some chestnut, mushrooms and garlic and putting that on top. Oh, with spinach as well. That is making my mouth water. That was my I had that kind of like every day for 2 weeks for lunch. I just loved it. But I don't cook with mushrooms in the evening because I'm cooking for me and Dan. It would be annoying to kind of cook my mushrooms separately and then put them in. So I just do a simple veggie risotto. I also do, oh, this is actually one that Dan does, is fajitas. We both cook fajitas. So we just do peppers, red onion, chicken, and Old El Paso fajita kit with the smoky barbecue powder that you put on. We have veggie risotto and fajitas every single week. I actually put up the recipe on my Instagram last night because we had it for dinner last night. It's like an Asian noodles with broccoli and prawns, and it's so easy. I've saved it in my December highlights if you want to go and have a look at I use so many ingredients for that, but it actually only takes 10 minutes. It's so quick, so simple. So I make that a lot. What else do I do? I used to do kind of like a salmon fillet in the air fryer with like some mash and broccoli, but we ate that so much because that was our kind of like healthy dinner, that we just got a bit bored of it. So I haven't been buying salmon fillets for ages, but a salmon fillet with some kind of like carrot and sweet mash and broccoli or something like that is quite a staple if we're talking like of all time, not just at the moment. Spaghetti bolognese, I love doing that. I think those are all our dinners. I'm going to be really annoyed if I've forgotten one, but I'm pretty sure those are our kind of main weekly meals. And then pasta. Any other night where we have no other ingredients, we just do pasta, like a cheesy pasta. I screenshotted this one and I thought about answering it in this video and I thought, no, this deserves its own video. What are your all-time wardrobe favourites? So I'm actually going to film that the next Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed and checking back here next Sunday, because I'm going to do my all-time wardrobe favourites. What are your favourite things about Dan? What made you know that he was the one that you wanted to settle down and have children with? I love this question. It just made me smile, so I wanted to answer it, and that's why I screenshotted it. I don't often talk about our relationship though, so I find it quite hard to kind of like, where do I get started? But okay, so as soon as I met Dan on our first date, we just chatted for hours, and I really loved his kind, warm vibe. I also really loved his voice. He has a really husky voice, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. I remember telling all of my friends that I loved his voice, and I loved his hands. I remember just looking at his hands, he's got really lovely hands. And obviously his face and everything else, but I particularly loved his voice and his hands, and the fact that he was kind and interesting. So I think those were first impressions. And then another of our kind of early on dates, we were in his kitchen and we'd had a couple of bottles of wine, so very drunk. I literally could never drink a bottle of wine now. I don't know how we did it, but in the beginning it's just kind of what you do when you're dating, I think. Anyway, it's still pretty early on, but we became so comfortable with each other, and we were kind of singing. He had his laptop open on the kitchen island, and we were kind of fighting over which song to put on next and just singing and dancing around the kitchen, and that just felt like the most fun I'd ever had whilst dating someone. And we were playing kind of old 90s songs like Sixpence None the Richer, Kiss Me, what else? Oh my God, what's that song? The Calling. Wherever you will go, something like that. And The Fray, just really kind of like funny old songs. And I sent a voice note to my friend Sophie the next day when she was like, oh, how's it going with Dan? And I sent her the voice note being like, we had the best time together last night. And I played it to Dan. I think on our year anniversary, I went back and found that voice note from Sophie that I sent to Sophie and played it to him. And it was really, really sweet to hear, because I just was saying that I'd never met anyone like him, and that I could be silly with so quickly. And something that I really love is that we still do that now. We love singing in the car, dancing around the kitchen, and now we have Sage as well, and we all dance around the kitchen together. And it's whenever that happens, I turn to him and I'm like, I literally feel like we're in a film. Our life feels so kind of filmic, and just I never thought this would be my life. It just feels so wonderful, and I'm just very, very grateful. Other things that I love about Dan and I really appreciate now is his positivity. I think that's something so important, and I'm such a positive person myself. I love being with someone who I feel like we're kind of on this ride together. And I'd say in general that's something that I really love about Dan, is that his goals and outlook on life are very aligned with mine. So I feel like we're really on this journey together, and that's really comforting. Okay, this answer's getting really long, but I'm just keep thinking of more things. I really love how much we chat, and that was something early on in the beginning that I loved. I loved that we would wake up in bed in the morning and just chat for like 3 hours. And part of me was saying to myself, you know, this could just be like a new dating thing, but obviously I had dated other people as well before I settled down with Dan, and it never was quite the same as it was with him. And so I couldn't put it down to it being new dating. And then the good news is that it still happens now if we get the opportunity to. I mean, often there is a little person in our bed, but sometimes we'll have mornings where we wake up before Sage, and for some reason we're both awake at like 5 a.m. and we'll just lay and chat for like 2 hours, and I absolutely love that. I feel like I have a real best friend in him. Other than that, I love that he makes me a cup of tea in bed every morning, and I cannot function without that. It's so important to me, and I'm just very, very grateful for that. Okay, I had to answer this question because it's my current obsession. What did you think of Wicked? So I went and saw Wicked with my sister Saturday night before last, I think. And I've thought about it most of the time ever since I saw it. I've listened to every podcast that any of the cast have been interviewed on. I have listened to the soundtrack on repeat, and I really want to find the time to go and see Wicked again. And I really want Dan to see it, because at one point I said to him, listen, I just don't think that we can carry on until you've seen Wicked, because I can't relate to anyone, obviously joking, but I couldn't relate to anyone who hadn't seen Wicked and had that same experience that I'd had in the cinema. It was just phenomenal. dazzling, perfect. Oh, I just adored Wicked so much. I can't even explain it. I feel like I'm going to get emotional talking about it. And you know what? I've seen so much on TikTok criticising Ariana and Cynthia, saying, why are they crying in every single interview? But oh my God, I was so emotional for days after seeing Wicked. And I think if it had been such a huge part of your life, filming that for 2 years, and then finally releasing it to the world and doing all of the press and the interviews about it, they must just be so proud of what they've created. I think I would cry every time I talked about it too. Wicked explores some really important themes like identity and acceptance, friendship and betrayal, power and corruption, good versus evil, and I honestly think it's a really important film to go and see. But overall, I just thought the whole thing was magic, and the performances are just some of the best I've ever seen. It's the most joyful, uplifting film I think I've ever watched. I don't know, Wicked just has got something about it that clearly is so special because so many people globally are obsessed with this film. I don't know what else to say other than, if you haven't seen Wicked yet, please go to the cinema and watch it. It's just the most incredible, immersive, mind-blowing experience. Okay, I'm going to answer a quicker question now. Favourite quality street? My favourite quality street, I would have to have two. It's the orange cream and the strawberry cream. And I have to say there's quite a lot in the quality street tin that I'm actually not that into, and neither is Dan. And that can get quite sad. So I kind of wish we'd done that thing this year where I think you can actually choose. I actually did a job with them a few years ago where I went into, I think it was a John Lewis, and you can choose, you can create your own tin basically. And I think we need to do that, because otherwise you're just kind of just rooting around in there trying to find your favourites. Someone said bring back old school baking videos. I promise baking videos are going to be making a comeback in January. I really wanted to do it before Christmas, but I haven't kind of done my house reveal yet, and I want to do that before I do a kitchen kind of baking video, because and also we're waiting for, there's kind of some paint needs touching up in the kitchen. We've just had new windows and new doors go in, new French doors and new windows. Once the kitchen is complete, I will be bringing old school baking videos back. What's your AM PM skincare routine? Okay, so I keep it fairly simple with my skincare. I stopped cleansing in the mornings because everyone on the internet had stopped cleansing in the mornings, and I thought, right, that's something I need to do. So I don't cleanse in the mornings now. I just wash my face with water in the shower. I meant to put on my vitamin C, my SkinCeuticals vitamin C, but sometimes I do forget. That's the ferulic acid. It's really, really good. But if I'm in a rush, actually that's no excuse, I should put it on every single morning, and most of the time I do, but sometimes I forget. Then I use the Beauty Pie hyaluronic acid, which I just adore, and will repurchase that product forever and ever and ever. And then I mix up my face moisturiser. At the moment I'm using, what am I using at the moment? Oh, a Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream for my kind of day face cream. Oh, and then I use SPF, either Mecca, La Roche-Posay or Beauty Pie are my kind of three that I'm rotating at the moment. SPF is very important, do not forget it. And then evening routine, I either use my Philosophy cleanser, or if I'm using more of a kind of balmy one in the bath, I use the Advanced Night Repair Estee Lauder Balm Cleanser. And then I alternate between retinol and like an acidy thing. I can't remember the name of my acid, but some kind of like Sunday Riley Good Genes, but I actually use a different one now. And then I'll have a night where I don't do any kind of actives. And then I use a night cream. And at the moment I'm using Estee Lauder Renutriv. So that's my AM PM skincare routine. A country you'd like to visit again. Okay, so I'm assuming this must mean a country that I've been to before that I would like to revisit. And for me, that would be Thailand. I've actually mentioned this to Dan a few times over the last couple of years, but then obviously having a baby has meant that we've not been doing those kind of long haul crazy trips. We did do one long haul with Sage. We went to the Maldives with him when he was actually only 4.5 months old, which looking back, I think we were so brave. I don't know if I would do that again now. Although everything was fine and we had the most wonderful time and he loved it. I just can't believe that we were brave enough to do that. But Thailand is somewhere that I went to when I was about 20, 21. I went traveling, and I stayed in kind of little huts. They don't really have hostels so much in like other places where you go traveling. It's you more kind of stay in little huts in Thailand. And I went to lots of different islands. I went to places in the mainland like Bangkok and Chiang Mai up in the north, and I just thought it was the most beautiful place with the most incredible food and culture, and I love the street markets, the whole vibe. The beaches obviously are just gorgeous. I would love to go back kind of as a grown up and do Thailand and stay in like a really nice hotel. Yeah, I'd love to go back to Thailand. What do you want Sage's childhood to look and feel like? This is such an interesting question. I love that you said feel like as well as look like. I want his childhood to feel free. I think that's the biggest thing that my heart wants for him. I want for him to just be able to play and be outside, kind of how I was as a child, and that's why I'm so happy that we go to the Heath all the time, and it feels like you're in the countryside even though we live in London, and I think that that's something I'm really excited for him to have close by growing up. I want him to feel safe and loved and free to create and play and explore the world. But not too much because I want him close to me, and I want it to feel fun, which I think we do achieve that. Like, I have an album on my phone called 2024, and I have them I started doing this back in 2020, where I have an album on my phone. Every few months I just go in and I select all of my kind of favourite photos recently and put it into that year so that I don't have to do it all when we get to the end of the year. And then in January I will print off all of our photos into a photo book. Someone asked me the other day what brand it is, and I can't remember. I still need to go downstairs and look at the brand. I will link it in the description box if I check before this video goes up. But the other day I was kind of adding to my 2024 album, ready to print it in January. And then I screen recorded on my phone as I was just kind of, you know, you can just kind of do the scroll down the bottom so you're not swiping across the photos like that. You're just kind of doing the mini photos, do you know what I mean? And it just kind of flicks to all the photos, and I did a screen record and it was 3 minutes long of me doing that, and then I put it into InShot, put some cute music behind it, and then sent it to my family and sent it to Dan, and everyone was just like, oh my god, that's the cutest video ever. And seeing that makes me feel really proud as a mum, and proud of me and Dan as parents, that I feel like we are creating a really lovely life for him. Favourite fragrance of all time? Diptyque Eau de Oil. It's been my favourite. If you've been watching these videos since I lived in the barn, do you remember that, any of you? That was when I first discovered Diptyque Eau de Oil. I am just their biggest fan. It's the best fragrance ever. Favourite books to read to Sage? Our favourites are Poppy and Sam. We love the Poppy and Sam books. My parents got him for Christmas last year, kind of a box set of about 30 different Poppy and Sam books. They're really slim, but he absolutely adores those, and there's a little duck to find on every page, and he loves doing that. Secondly, although actually this is probably our all-time favourite, if we had to pick one kind of series of books that we love to read together, would be Percy the Park Keeper, because it just holds such a special place in my heart, because my sister and I used to listen to Percy every night as we went to sleep as children, and on the little tapes, and we had tape players in our rooms. So I love the nostalgia of reading Percy to Sage and being reminded of my childhood, but he also just adores them and loves all the animals. And my favourite thing was the first day that I think I was reading, and this happened by accident. I was reading to him at bedtime, and he was laying kind of here in the crook of my arm. I'm holding the book here. And I said to him, it's cold in the park. And then I think I had like an itch, or just like itched my nose, or went to cough or something. Anyway, I didn't finish the sentence. And he just went, winter. And I was like, what? I didn't know you could say winter. This was, I mean, he's talking now, he's over 2, but this was when he was like 1 and could only say probably about 40 words in total or something. And I didn't know that winter was one of his words that he had in his vocabulary. And so I was so impressed and was just like, what? You know it? And it just makes you realise that all that time that we as parents put into reading to our children, it's really working and going into their heads. And so now we play a game where he finishes all the sentences of all of the Percy books, and he loves that. We also love The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark. And then all the Julia Donaldsons are amazing. Favourite Christmas snack? My sister asked this question. I was like, I need to answer one of hers, otherwise she'll say to me, why didn't you answer one of my questions? I also really like this question, so well done, Tash. Favourite Christmas snack? Okay, I thought this was going to be easy and I would just say mince pie, but now I'm thinking about it, it's really hard because I love a salmon and cream cheese blini, which we always have at Christmas time, so even though it's not strictly a Christmas snack, I really associate it with Christmas and love them. What else? Parmesan stars, camembert with just loads of bread and red onion chutney, cheese and biscuits. But I think a mince pie has got to be my absolute number one. Specifically, and this is very fancy, but Dan and I went out into Central the other day and got some Fortnum's mince pies, and oh my goodness, they are the nicest mince pies I've ever had. They're very expensive, but they are amazing. Final question, someone said, how do you organise your bookshelves? They look so beautiful. Firstly, thank you. I love my new bookshelves so much too. I haven't organised them yet. I really need to, I want to, and I've decided what I'm going to do is organise them how you would in a bookshop. So by last name, alphabetical, and that's just the way that I'm going to do it. I've kind of thought about this for so long and been wondering, do I do it into sections like contemporary fiction, historical fiction, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I just want to A to Z it. And that is it for this Q&A. I've absolutely loved doing this. It really feels like I'm kind of sharing quite a lot with you guys, which I think feels quite nice, and I think that we have such a lovely community here that I feel like this is a safe space to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!